Earlier this week, Nikola Jokic recorded a stat line of 40 points, 27 rebounds, and 10 assists, making him the first with such numbers since Wilt Chamberlain all the way back in 1968. He's the back-to-back MVP with two of the greatest statistical seasons ever, yet somehow continues to get better. His vast offensive skill set is unlike anything we've ever seen from the center position, just breaking basketball and making him one of the most valuable players ever. To start this season, the Nuggets have had an offensive rating of 124.8 with Nikola Jokic on the floor per play-by-play stats, the highest mark of any player with at least 20 minutes a game. With him off the floor, that number plummets to a 104.6, or 8 points below the league's average, and that 20-point offensive swing is the fourth highest of any player since tracking started back in 2001. This is a signal typical of when the system is built around one player, and Joker is no exception. Denver runs everything through him, but in a unique way and in various different spots. Primarily, it's in the middle of the floor, meaning the top of the key, at the free throw line, or on the elbow. In these spots, he's able to pull big rim protectors out of the paint due to both the threat of him shooting or screening, freeing up the lane for off-ball action going towards the basket. Because he's 6'11", he can see the entire floor and make reads over the top of the defense. One of their go-tos is a deep post steal by Aaron Gordon, where he can physically overwhelm smaller defenders. And having a big who can both clear the lane and make pinpoint passes over the top makes for easy entries. Generally though, he's hunting for cutters, picking the defense apart as teammates move all over the floor and trying to create as many layups as possible. He often makes decisions before any opening actually occurs, anticipating both the offense and defense's movement at an obscene level, and he needs just minimal space to capitalize, threading the needle with such quickness that even half a step lost on a finisher is all it takes. Here Jokic is positioned at the top of the key with Murray in the post, and Porter makes a smart cut behind the defense. When Jamal draws some extra attention, he kicks it out to the open Jokic, but without even considering the three, in the packed paint consisting of 4 different spurs, he sees opportunity, and in one motion slings it all the way down for a layup. Note the velocity at which he got the ball from point A to point B. Room for defensive error or inattentiveness is almost non-existent. Again, just about every OKC player is touching the paint as Jokic backs down his man from the perimeter, and it's a dart right down the middle to a free dunk. This constant hunt for layups of course draws the attention of off-ball defenders and helpers, and wherever that movement comes from will most likely end up with an open shot as he just sprays shooters all over the floor. Denver goes to a corner screening action with Jokic initiating from the elbow, and Moody slides over from the weak side to tag a potential cutter. Without ever looking away from the corner, Jokic snaps a cross-court dot perfectly in the shooting pocket of KCP, displaying a sort of sixth sense, eyes in the back of his head, or some combination of the two. This is a tactic of manipulation, moving defenders around like pawns and controlling their every decision, never actually looking at his intended target, staring down shooters to hit cutters, and looking to the interior to free up opportunities on the perimeter. And even when the opponent does a great job of clogging all of these lanes, they can fall back on some dribble handoff action. This is especially prominent with Jamal Murray. The unrelenting two-man game is a staple of their offense, especially to close out games in the clutch. They aren't just going through the motions either. Jokic is a legitimately massive screener who does a great job of impeding the path of perimeter defenders to initiate that micro advantage, where he creates a ton of matchup issues. You can't switch the action because he'll just abuse the mismatch to either create a shot at the rim or earn a trip to the line. And you also can't overplay the screen because it'll turn into a backdoor and you're back to dealing with those layup lines. They love to throw out this set that sees Jokic with the ball near the elbow, Murray setting a back screen for a cutter before coming up to receive a handoff and play that two-man game. A miscommunication on the initial back pick leaves 2 with Gordon and nobody to stop Jamal from flowing into a wide open 3. But this time, Portland actually does a great job of running him off the line, so he keeps that dribble alive just long enough to free up Jokic for the floater. As the roll man, Jokic generates just under 1.4 points per possession, the most of any player with his volume, capable of catching and putting it up right away on the move, or putting the ball down in the short roll and attacking with an automatic floater that I'm not sure I've ever actually seen miss. When going downhill like this, he can also make quick reads as a passer, where that GOAT level decision making and anticipation allow him to make the best play possible while on the move. It's not just rolling downhill, where he's a weapon after the screen. He'll often drift to the mid-range for short jumpers that are automatic, or pop all the way to the 3-point line, where if left unattended, he'll knock it down, hitting 43% of his wide open threes over the last 3 seasons. What's even more dangerous on these pops though is that second attack. He's got a ridiculously effective shot fake that can get even the league's best defenders off the floor, then explodes into those openings with dribble drives. He uses his strength and footwork to get into the paint, where he's got phenomenal touch around the rim, and his deceleration is among the best, stopping on a dime to create separation for both layups and those unstoppable floaters. He can also mask that floater as a soft lob over the top, as that rim pressure creates more playmaking opportunities, this time countering a vertical contest by just wrapping the ball around for an easy laydown. He'll also draw extra help from outside and kick it out to shooters with a classic drive and kick game, and his live dribble passing when attacking like this is unmatched at his position, allowing him to serve as a sort of point center. He can run the pick and roll as a ball handler, coming off of screens and getting to that floater, but also hunting for the interior pass. Again, due to that height, he can see things that most guards just can't, making reads over the top of the defense with high-level lobs and tight shovels off the floor. When playing the role of a perimeter initiator like this, he likes to play at a high pace, constantly looking to exploit any advantages created by a defense that's still recovering, even off of made baskets, where he'll rush the inbound, very reminiscent of the 7 seconds or less Suns that revolutionized modern NBA offense. And this is a testament to his ability to generate transition opportunities. He's one of the best defensive rebounders in the league, and teammates know to leak out as soon as a shot goes up for Hail Mary-esque outlets. He releases right off the catch before ever putting the ball down, sometimes with one hand while still rotating to find a receiver, and it's always on target, in stride, before defenders can ever react. With no outlets available, he can put it down himself and play the grab and go game, where he's a wrecking ball barreling towards the basket, and if left unattended to, will just take it coast to coast himself. And if anyone cuts him off, or even thinks about rotating to his push down the middle, he's got a ridiculous one-handed shovel pass. When he doesn't have the ball, or isn't in position to rebound, he likes to run down and quickly seal favorable matchups for early shot clock post-ups, which takes us full circle to probably his best skill, his arsenal as a back-to-the-basket player. Before we get into that though, I want to give a quick shout out to Basketball Index for helping with this analysis and the making of this video. If you're not familiar with the site, they provide tons of statistical measurements, tools, and easily accessible graphics to further guide your understanding of the sport. They offer talent grades on pretty much any aspect of the game you can think of, and through their player profiles tab, I can easily compare them to other players around the league. Using Jokic's playmaking as an example, on this page I'm presented with various metrics detailing his ability to create for others, along with how he stacks up against his peers. This is just one of the many useful tools found on the site to help guide me and many others through their analysis, and by signing up with the code VENUE30, you can get 30% off your first month subscription. I'll leave a link in the description below for anyone interested in signing up, and with that being said, let's take a look at Jokic's post game. These are commonly just quick, deep seals where he establishes position and can go up right off the catch. His phenomenal hands and massive frame make entry passing real easy by catching anything that's thrown his way. To make things even easier for passers, he'll often move off ball to get into post-ups, coming off of screens or decoy actions where again switching isn't a viable option, allowing him to get the ball. He rarely ever holds it in isolation, waiting for things to slow down, rather attacking within the flow of the offense, forcing the defense to remain active at all times due to this decisiveness. It's the same thing as when he's on the perimeter, with the constant movement and cuts, off-ball defenders having no room for error because he's mapping the entire floor. But now there's a lot more of a scoring threat, leading the league in post-up scoring with a very efficient 1.11 points per possession. He's so big and strong that he'll just back his way to wherever he wants to go, actively looking to hunt out the easiest shot he can possibly get and rarely ever settling for less. Once he gets to his spots, his footwork to create separation is incredible. Here he's got a huge mismatch against Lillard, with Nurkic roaming over to protect the paint. Jokic points at him and calls for a 3-second violation to get him to retreat before going to a double spin through 2 defenders to split the double and lay it in. This spin move is his go-to, and he'll fake it with half spins to create jump hooks, and when he's in a bit deeper, he'll use the powerful drop step. His touch as a finisher down low is outstanding, with scoop layups, hooks, or push shots where he's just as effective with his offhand and has no problem scoring through added contact. Even when he's not able to establish great position or back his way in deep, he can fall back on an uber efficient mid-range jumper with a virtually uncontestable post fade or signature Sombor shuffle for some more space. He blends scoring and playmaking in these spots perfectly. There's nobody in the league who can defend him individually, and his scoring is too efficient to just live with. Throughout all of NBA history, no player has ever exceeded 69% true shooting with at least 19 points per game, which Joker is currently doing at 25. His ability to generate such easy shots for himself, with over 70% of his attempts coming within 10 feet of the basket, while still making difficult ones when needed, is unparalleled, and any attempt to defend him with more than one guy leaves someone on the court unguarded. This time drawing a double from the baseline, going to the middle, and staring down a corner shooter to send this defender on a closeout, only to leave it right in the heart of the defense. Even when they're not directly running through him, he has great utility as an off-ball weapon. I earlier mentioned his movement and ability to come off of screens, but this isn't just for better positioning in the post. With space, he can shoot right off the catch from both mid-range and 3, and he's also a very smart cutter, countering overplays, faking screens with slips, and catching defenders off guard with hard dives to the rim, where again he can catch and finish anything. In these spots, he also has to be kept off the offensive glass at all times, as his hands allow him to tip the ball right back in or control these tips to secure boards, keeping the ball high for a nearly guaranteed putback. I'm not sure we've ever seen a player who combines this type of off-ball ability with the 3-level scoring mastery, all-time great playmaking, and size of Jokic, which is why across the board, metrics looking to capture value place him as one of the most impactful players ever. This isn't just on the box score either, as his plus-minus profile rivals the best. This season, they go from a +10 to a -15 when he's on versus off the floor, which is the difference between a championship level team and the very worst. And if we extend that to the last 3 seasons, it's still a massive swing, falling from a +8 to almost a -7. Every single teammate he plays with looks like a drastically different player when they're next to him, no matter the skill set, showcasing how good he is at fitting with any archetype and maximizing any lineup as both a floor and ceiling raiser. And to drive lineups forward to this degree while not being a great defensive player, when taking into consideration his vast skill set that allows him to create efficient opportunities for both himself and others at will, and play virtually any position on the floor, in my opinion gives him an argument to be the most valuable offensive player ever. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website, podcast, and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Jokic and just how good you believe he is. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.